This world will try to pull you in 1,000 directions, but the moment you turn inward, the whole universe turns to face you. There is a quiet power in the art of silence that the world often misunderstands. Many believe that speaking loudly, making oneself seen, and asserting opinions at every turn is the measure of strength. Yet true strength is born in the spaces between words, in the pauses where your mind can breathe and your spirit can listen. Silence is not the absence of voice. It is the presence of self-control, the mastery of one's own energy. When you choose to remain silent, you are not surrendering to the chaos around you. You are stepping out of it. You are refusing to participate in every argument, every confrontation, every battle that is not yours to fight. In silence, you conserve your power, you sharpen it, you allow it to grow into a force that does not need validation or recognition to exist, for it is rooted in your own certainty and not in the fleeting applause of others. To stay silent is to protect your purpose. Every time you react impulsively, every time you explain yourself to those who cannot understand, you scatter fragments of your energy into spaces that will never nurture you. You dilute your intention by attempting to control others' perception of you. But when you cultivate silence, you safeguard the sacred work within your mind and heart. Your goals, your dreams, your ambitions, they flourish in quiet attention. They grow unseen, but no less powerful. And when the time comes for them to manifest, they appear with a force that cannot be ignored because they were nurtured without distraction, without interference, and without the constant noise of external judgment. Silence also sharpens clarity. When you are constantly speaking, reacting, or defending, your mind becomes cluttered. The messages of your intuition, the whispers of your soul, and the quiet guidance of your inner self are drowned out by the commotion of the world. In stillness, however, every thought settles like dust in sunlight. You begin to see situations more clearly, to understand relationships in ways that words never allowed, and to distinguish between what truly matters and what only seeks to occupy your attention. The quiet becomes a mirror in which your mind can reflect, and in that reflection you find discernment, wisdom, and the ability to make choices not driven by emotion, but guided by principle. There is a profound dignity in silence. It commands respect without demanding it. It signals that you are aware of your own worth and that you do not need to constantly prove it. People notice this in subtle ways, in the calm with which you carry yourself, in the measured nature of your responses, in the way you do not bend to the trivial urgencies that govern others' lives. This is the paradox of silence. It does not shout, yet it speaks louder than the most persuasive words. It does not beg for attention, yet attention is drawn to it because it represents something rare and valuable, the mastery of self. Moreover, silence is a sanctuary. It protects the mind from unnecessary conflict and preserves the spirit from the draining influence of negativity. In a world that thrives on reaction, where every tweet, every comment, every word is designed to provoke, the ability to withhold is revolutionary. The person who remains silent does so not out of fear, not out of passivity, but out of a deep understanding that engagement is a choice, and wisdom is knowing which battles are worth the sacrifice of one's inner peace. In silence, your thoughts are your own. Your power is intact and your focus is unbroken. You cultivate patience, endurance, and resilience. And in this cultivation, you build a foundation so strong that the external storms of life cannot erode it. To focus on yourself is to honor the life that pulses within you. It is to acknowledge that your time, your energy, your heart, and your dreams are precious resources that deserve your careful attention. There is a sacredness in turning your gaze inward, a reverence in choosing to nurture your own growth before pouring yourself into the expectations of others. Too often, the world confuses this with selfishness, suggesting that prioritizing your own well-being is a sign of weakness or a lack of care for others. But sacred self-respect does not diminish compassion. It strengthens it. When you honor your own needs, when you hold space for your own healing and understanding, you become more capable of offering genuine love, wisdom, and support to those around you. Self-focus is the soil from which true generosity grows. It is not the withholding of yourself, but the cultivation of your deepest resources so that what you offer comes from abundance rather than depletion. To focus on yourself is to listen to the quiet whispers of your own soul, to recognize the desires and intentions that are uniquely yours, and to act upon them with courage. Many people spend their lives reacting to the demands and expectations of others, living according to scripts they did not write, chasing approval that was never meant for them. In doing so, they lose touch with their own purpose, their own voice, their own joy. But when you choose to turn inward, you reclaim that lost connection. You begin to understand that your worth is not measured by how much you give to the world, but by how fully you inhabit your own life. Sacred self-respect is the acknowledgement that your journey matters, that your dreams are valid, and that the attention you give to your own growth is an investment in the quality of everything else you touch. There is a power in this focus that the world cannot easily understand. When you are centered in yourself, your decisions are guided not by fear, not by insecurity, not by the need for validation, but by clarity and conviction. You no longer bend to the opinions of those who seek to control you, nor do you dilute your essence to fit into spaces where you do not belong. Instead, you act with integrity, aligning your actions with your values, and in doing so, you create a magnetic presence that draws the right people, opportunities, and experiences to you. This is the beauty of sacred self-respect. It is protective, it is magnetic, and it is transformative. By tending to your own needs, you build resilience, confidence, and self-trust, qualities that cannot be taken or undermined by the judgments of others. To focus on yourself is also to set boundaries, those invisible lines that honor your time, energy, and emotional well-being. It is to recognize that you cannot be everything for everyone, nor should you be. The act of saying no to distractions, yes to rest, and yes to personal growth is not cruelty, nor is it neglect. It is an affirmation that your life, your mind, and your heart are worthy of respect. In a world that glorifies overextension, overcommitment, and self-neglect, this kind of focus is radical. It is a quiet rebellion against the pressures that seek to fragment your attention and scatter your power. And as you practice this sacred self-respect, you begin to notice the shifts around you. Relationships evolve, unnecessary burdens fall away, and you attract people and experiences that honor rather than drain you. Ultimately, focusing on yourself is not a rejection of the world, but a celebration of your own existence within it. It is an understanding that by cultivating the fullness of who you are, you contribute to the world from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. It allows your creativity to flourish, your intuition to guide you, and your spirit to move with purpose and grace. Sacred self-respect is the quiet declaration that you are worthy of attention, care, and devotion. And it is this very devotion to your own life that empowers you to live fully, fiercely, and without apology. Life has a way of testing us at every turn, of presenting moments that provoke, disturb, and unsettle. People will push your boundaries, situations will challenge your patience, and the world will demand responses before your mind is ready to deliver them. It is tempting to react, to speak first, to lash out, to defend, to explain, to rush into the fray with emotion like a wildfire. But each reaction, no matter how justified, carries with it a cost. Every time we react impulsively, we surrender a piece of ourselves, handing over control of our peace, our focus, and our power to circumstances beyond our choosing. Yet there is a transformative power in restraint. When you stop reacting, when you pause, when you breathe before responding, you reclaim authority over your life. You decide where your energy goes, which battles you engage in, and which storms you allow to touch your soul. This is the first step in taking control of your emotions, not by suppressing them, but by understanding that they do not have to dictate your actions. Stopping reaction is not about passivity or avoidance. It is about conscious choice. It is the acknowledgement that you are not a puppet pulled by the strings of others' words, behaviors, or judgments. You are a sovereign being capable of thoughtful decision-making. And in this sovereignty, you discover a freedom that is rare and precious. When someone insults you, criticizes you, or challenges you, the instinct to retaliate is powerful, but the act of remaining still, observing without immediate engagement, transforms the moment. You begin to see patterns where you once saw chaos, motives where you once saw offense, and lessons where you once felt attack. By halting the reflex to react, you create a space in which clarity can flourish, and in that clarity, you regain control, the control that was quietly slipping away every time you allowed your emotions to govern your behavior. The practice of not reacting is also a practice in mastery over your inner world. Emotions, though natural and important, are like waves, powerful and unpredictable. If we let every wave dictate the direction of our lives, we drift endlessly, tossed by circumstances at the mercy of external forces. But when we choose to observe rather than act impulsively, when we allow ourselves to feel without immediately responding, we learn the rhythm of these waves. We learn how to ride them instead of being drowned by them. Patience becomes a tool, reflection becomes a shield, and discernment becomes our compass. Each pause, each conscious decision to withhold reaction strengthens the ability to respond with wisdom, rather than being swept away by the tides of anger, fear, or hurt. There is also a profound dignity in non-reaction. The world will always attempt to provoke, to unsettle, and to manipulate. But when you remain composed, you send a message far more powerful than any words could convey, that you are the master of your own mind, the guardian of your own heart, and the architect of your own life. Others may be taken aback by your silence, your calm, your refusal to be pulled into chaos, but this is your power quietly asserting itself. You begin to notice how much of life's stress comes from our own participation in reactive cycles, and how much control can be regained simply by stepping back, breathing deeply, and choosing deliberately how to engage. As you cultivate the habit of not reacting, you will observe profound changes. Relationships become less turbulent, conflicts diminish in intensity, and your own emotional landscape becomes a place of stability rather than a battlefield. The urgency to respond to every slight, to defend every position, to justify every choice fades away. Life begins to flow with less friction because you are no longer a participant in unnecessary conflict. Your energy is preserved for what truly matters, and your attention can be given to growth, healing, and purpose. In this deliberate stillness, you are free to live from a place of wisdom rather than impulse, of control rather than chaos, and of intention rather than reaction. Silence has a way of peeling back the layers of life, of exposing the truth that words often conceal. When we speak constantly, when we perform, when we entertain, when we assert ourselves in every interaction, It is easy to believe that those around us see us clearly, appreciate us genuinely, and value the essence of who we are. Yet much of this attention is fleeting, dependent not on the depth of our character, but on the spectacle of our presence. It is in the absence of noise, in the quiet moments when we step back, when we choose stillness over performance, that the true measure of those around us becomes evident. Silence acts as a filter, separating those who are drawn to our being from those who are attached only to our activity, our drama, or our ability to satisfy their own needs for entertainment, distraction, or validation. In this quiet, the illusion of loyalty dissipates, leaving only the substance of genuine connection. When you withdraw into silence, you create a space in which people are forced to confront their own intentions toward you. Those who truly care will reach out, not because of what you can give them, not because of the performance you maintain, but because of the intrinsic value of your presence in their lives. They will recognize that your silence is not a rejection, but a moment of reflection, and they will respond with respect, understanding, and sincerity. They will honor your boundaries and appreciate the depth of your character without needing you to justify, explain, or perform for them. It is in these moments that true relationships reveal themselves, those that are not transactional, conditional, or superficial, but rooted in genuine regard for who you are, not what you do or say. On the other hand, silence exposes those who were never invested in your essence at all. People who valued only your noise, your energy, your excitement, your constant output, begin to drift or fumble in the absence of the performance they relied on. They show their true colors when you do not react to their provocations, when you do not entertain their whims, when you no longer provide the spectacle they consumed. Their absence is a revelation, a quiet statement that their connection was never about you, but about the utility, amusement, or attention you provided. This is not rejection, it is liberation. In learning who was truly present for you and who was only present for what you gave, you reclaim your power and your clarity. You no longer need to chase, justify, or perform to maintain validation from those who were never invested in your being. There is a profound lesson in this process of quiet revelation. When we embrace silence, we are not avoiding communication or human connection. We are prioritizing authenticity. We give ourselves permission to be understood on our own terms, to be seen as we truly are, rather than as a reflection of others' expectations. Silence becomes a lens through which we observe not just the world, but ourselves, our patience, our discernment, and our capacity for understanding. We discover the difference between companionship born of convenience and loyalty born of love, between attention that is conditional and presence that is enduring. And in this discovery, we are empowered to cultivate relationships that honor our value, surround ourselves with those who genuinely resonate with our energy, and release those who were attached only to the echo of our noise. Moreover, silence teaches humility and restraint, guiding us to recognize that not every action, word, or expression requires a witness or approval. It invites reflection, self-awareness, and the cultivation of inner peace. By withdrawing from the constant clamor of validation seeking, we allow ourselves to focus on growth, understanding, and self-respect. It is in these quiet moments that the clarity of human intention becomes visible. Those who remain steadfast, patient, and considerate in your absence are the ones whose loyalty is authentic. Those who fade, falter, or falter in expectation are the ones whose attention was performative, superficial, and fleeting. Silence, in its gentle yet uncompromising way, reveals what words cannot, exposing truth not through argument, but through observation, patience, and the quiet power of self-possession. When we turn our attention inward, when we cultivate focus on ourselves, our purpose, and our growth, the universe begins to respond in ways that are subtle yet profound. The world is filled with distractions, a constant barrage of demands, opinions, comparisons, and urgencies that pull our energy in every direction. Every notification, every obligation, every plea for attention has the potential to scatter our focus and weaken our capacity to see what truly matters. But when you refuse to be pulled in every direction, when you learn to guard your time and energy, you create a magnetic field that draws opportunity rather than repelling it. Self-focus is not merely a mental exercise, it is a spiritual practice, a declaration that your life, your vision, and your growth are worth the discipline of attention. In the quiet act of focusing on yourself, you become receptive to what is aligned with your path and resistant to what would lead you astray. Opportunities, like seeds, often fall into the laps of those who are prepared to receive them. Distraction, however, scatters attention like wind scatters soil, making it difficult for anything to take root. When your mind is fragmented, when your energy is constantly divided, you miss the signs, the synchronicities, and the subtle openings that could transform your life. But self-focus sharpens perception. It allows you to notice the possibilities that others overlook, to recognize the people and moments that carry potential, and to act decisively when the right doors appear. It is in this concentrated attention that timing becomes apparent, intuition grows stronger, and clarity emerges. Life has a way of rewarding those who are fully present for their own journey, for they move with intention and readiness rather than reaction and haste. Focusing on yourself also cultivates a depth of skill, wisdom, and presence that distraction would have stolen from you. Every hour you spend honing your craft, nurturing your mind, and understanding your purpose is an investment in your future. Each moment of attention you give to your growth compounds over time, creating a foundation that no fleeting distraction can undermine. When you engage fully with your own development, you attract mentors, allies, and opportunities naturally, not through force or effort, but because presence and preparation resonate at a frequency that draws similar energies. The person who is focused radiates competence, authenticity, and confidence, qualities that opportunities instinctively seek out, while distraction breeds inconsistency, superficiality, and missed timing. Moreover, self-focus allows for discernment. Opportunities are abundant, but not all are aligned with your purpose or path. When you are scattered, you chase what appears enticing, but may ultimately lead to detours or loss. But when you are grounded in self-focus, you can evaluate each opportunity through the lens of intention and alignment. You recognize which doors to open and which to leave closed. You understand the difference between short-term gain and long-term fulfillment, between fleeting attention and lasting impact. In this way, self-focus becomes not only a magnet for opportunity, but also a filter, ensuring that the energy you devote and the actions you take lead to growth, purpose, and meaningful achievement rather than wasted effort or misalignment. Finally, the discipline of self-focus transforms your relationship with time itself. Moments that once slipped away unnoticed, absorbed by trivialities or distractions, become available for meaningful action. Your priorities become clearer, your energy more efficient, and your presence more intentional. By resisting the pull of distraction, you create a space in which opportunity can manifest fully, undisturbed by noise, indecision, or hesitation. Life begins to flow toward you, not because you control it, but because you have aligned yourself with your own purpose, prepared to receive what is rightly yours, and attentive enough to act when the moment arrives. Opportunities that others miss in the chaos of distraction are now yours to claim, visible and within reach, because self-focus has positioned you to see them, to embrace them, and to transform them into something lasting, meaningful, and transformative. Life has a remarkable way of responding to the choices we make, especially the quiet internal decisions that often go unnoticed by the world. There is a freedom that emerges the moment you decide that your growth matters more than the approval of others, that your peace is worth more than being entangled in the endless drama that surrounds you. Society often conditions us to seek recognition, validation, and praise, to perform in ways that ensure others' approval, and to measure our worth by the reactions of people whose understanding may never reach the depth of our being. But when you shift the focus from seeking external validation to cultivating internal growth, life begins to rearrange itself in ways that honor your priorities, values, and purpose. Growth becomes the compass that guides your decisions, rather than the fleeting judgments of those who may not see or understand your path. And in choosing this, you begin to notice the subtle ways life rewards courage, discipline, and the quiet commitment to becoming more of yourself every day. Choosing growth over approval requires immense self-awareness and courage. It demands that you recognize the difference between constructive guidance and hollow praise, between relationships that elevate you and those that merely demand your attention. When you place your energy in nurturing your talents, expanding your mind, and refining your character, you are investing in a future that no one can take from you. Approval, on the other hand, is transient, unpredictable, and often conditional. Seeking it constantly leaves you vulnerable to the whims of others and robs you of your agency. But growth, when pursued intentionally, is permanent and transformative. It shifts the trajectory of your life from reaction to creation, from dependency to autonomy, and from anxiety to confidence. Each choice made in alignment with your personal evolution strengthens your resilience and reinforces the knowledge that your life is yours to shape, independent of the applause or criticism of those around you. Peace over drama is equally transformative. Drama is seductive. It demands engagement, provokes emotion, and often offers the illusion of importance. People are drawn into it, thinking that participation will define their value, protect their reputation, or secure relationships. Yet drama consumes energy, clouds judgment, and distracts from the pursuit of meaningful progress. Choosing peace instead is an act of sovereignty. It is a declaration that you will not be swept away by chaos that does not serve your purpose. It is an acknowledgement that your time, energy, and emotional stability are sacred resources to be guarded and invested wisely. Peace allows you to respond rather than react, to see situations with clarity rather than distortion, and to interact from a place of calm authority rather than urgency or fear. When you prioritize peace, life opens doors that drama obscured. Opportunities appear that chaos would have concealed, and relationships flourish in an atmosphere of mutual respect and understanding. This choice, growth over approval, peace over drama, fundamentally alters the way you experience the world. Suddenly, the trivial concerns that once demanded your attention fade into insignificance. You no longer feel compelled to justify yourself, explain your choices, or participate in conflicts that drain rather than nourish. Your focus becomes sharper, your decisions more deliberate, and your energy more aligned with your highest goals. Life begins to move with a rhythm that mirrors your priorities, and you find that the people, experiences, and opportunities that resonate with your growth naturally gravitate toward you, while distractions, negativity, and shallow engagements fall away. In this space, you learn the true measure of strength. It is not in being seen or applauded, but in choosing what matters most to you and holding steadfastly to it. Growth and peace are intertwined in their transformative effect. When you prioritize learning, self-improvement, and inner stability over the need for recognition or the allure of drama, you become a magnet for authenticity and abundance. Life begins to mirror the depth of your choices, presenting challenges that strengthen rather than weaken, opportunities that expand rather than limit, and connections that nurture rather than drain. The journey becomes less about proving yourself to others and more about honoring your own path, less about reacting to chaos and more about creating harmony, less about fleeting recognition and more about lasting fulfillment.